Bishop J. Drew Sheard, whose name used to be echoed across pulpits with power and unity, just told everyone something terrible that no one saw coming. He is leaving the Church of God in Christ after decades of steadfast service, leadership, and loyalty. He is leaving in pain, not peace. In what way could betrayal really shake one of the most important people in COGIC to his core? Stay with us, because there's more to this story than anyone thought. One name always comes to mind when you think of the Church of God in Christ's strength, grace, and message. Bishop J. Drew Sheard was a man with a clear mission, spiritual authority, and a lot of support. Bishop Sheard has spent his whole life taking care of others, making communities stronger, and carrying COGIC's heritage. The church world was shocked when word came out that he was stepping down quickly, emotionally, and without notice. But this is where things get even worse. It wasn't a quiet exit. The change of power wasn't peaceful. Insiders say Bishop Sheard is leaving because of a terrible betrayal within the church. It is said to have left him devastated, shocked, and questioning the leadership system he helped build. Here's a film that pulls back the curtain on what really happened behind closed doors. It includes power plays in the boardroom and betrayals at the highest levels, as well as private breakdowns and shocking reactions from family and church members. It's crazy who took part and who didn't say anything. We'll talk about what made Bishop Sheard leave, why his close friends and family are fighting, and what this might mean for COGIC's future as a whole. If you ever thought Bishop Sheard was strong or trusted church leaders, to be honest, you need to know what really happened. This isn't just a change in leadership. Before the breakup, the betrayal and the news stories that would shake the COGIC group, there is a spiritual earthquake. A man named John Drew Sheard came from a long line of spiritually powerful and important people. Drew grew up in a religious Pentecostal family where his father, Bishop John H. Sheard, taught him about being holy, obeying God, and being completely devoted to his calling. It was clear from the start. He was going to lead the church, not just serve it. However, don't think that Bishop Sheard's rise was easy. He didn't become a leader in the Church of God and Christ overnight. Years and years of hard work, service, and ambition made it happen. He started out as a humble preacher in Detroit, where he led Greater Emmanuel Institutional COGIC and turned a small church into a spiritual hub. Not only was his teaching powerful, it changed people. People all over the country followed him because of how well he led them and how much his words and songs ministered to them. The church paid attention when his time came. In 2021, when the church was having problems within itself, Bishop Sheard was chosen as the presiding bishop of COGIC. He became the leader of a group with more than 6 million members around the world. Many saw him as the start of a new age, strong, well-liked, and rooted in custom, but willing to change in the modern world. It wasn't just a church he was running. He was in charge of a movement. He started outreach programs, made COGIC more visible in the media, and handled controversial problems with class. Bishop Sheard was fiery and humble, whether he was speaking to thousands of people at Holy Assembly or helping broken families in private. His marriage to gospel star Karen Clark Sheard made them one of the most admired couples in Black Christian society, not just in the pulpit. Together, they stood for more than just ministry. They stood for heritage. Many people didn't believe the rumors that Bishop Sheard was mentally falling apart, missing important meetings, and thinking about stepping down because something was wrong. Why would a man who swore to follow the church leave all of a sudden? What could break someone who had been through so much for so long? Let's see what happened next. When betrayal came from the inside, everything changed. Bishop J. Drew Sheard led with confidence and honesty for many years because he thought that the people who were around him shared his faith, beliefs, and vision. But now we know that the betrayal that broke him didn't come from strangers. It came from the people he trusted the most, his close friends on COGIC board of directors. Several reliable people close to the leadership of the national church said that tensions had been building quietly behind the scenes for more than a year. There were disagreements about money, the direction of the organization, and even religious focus. There were disagreements that weren't just heated arguments, but also fierce power battles going on behind closed doors. At the heart of the disagreement was a contentious plan to restructure the church that would have taken power away from the ruling bishop. Bishop Sheard was said to have been against this move. One source says he was caught off guard. It was their plan to make him a leader. He told them, "One vote doesn't change decades of sacrifice." Bishop Sheard kept up a cool, professional front in public, but people who knew him well say he felt more and more unmown. His friends said he sounded guarded and tired, and sometimes he wouldn't say anything at all when they asked about board issues. But it wasn't just betrayal in a political sense, it was also emotional. A former co-worker whom Bishop Sheard helped for many years reportedly joined a small group of people who want to get the presiding bishop to step down early. Some people thought the reason was desire, some people say jealousy. No matter what the goal was, the result was terrible. Bishop Sheard allegedly found private emails, messages, and communications between board members that made fun of his leadership and his emotional response to a recent illness in the family. Yes, made fun of. That was the time when the shift took place. Sources say that Bishop Sheard locked himself in his office for almost 4 hours after reading those messages and wouldn't talk to anyone, not even his helper or his wife Karen. People who worked at the national headquarters in Memphis told us that they knew he was broken on the inside. He wasn't mad, he was too quiet. The weight of that man was like a number. All of a sudden, he felt like the ground had been pulled out from under him. In the days that followed, Bishop Sheard allegedly started cancelling speaking engagements, giving important tasks to other people, and pulling out of meetings where important decisions had to be made. People who tried to get in touch with him said they were either politely turned down or ignored totally. Then the big surprise came. Bishop Sheard told a small group of trusted advisors on a secret leadership call that he was stepping down as presiding bishop because he was emotionally and spiritually worn out and felt betrayed in a way that was too deep to ignore. No one was ready for the last thing he said on the call. "People close to me are the ones I can't lead if I don't trust them." But now it gets even worse. The heads of COGIC have not yet talked about the betrayal in public. There was no official probe or public apology. There was only silence. And that silence is what's pulling the COGIC group apart more than anything else. As Bishop J. Drew Sheard slowly pulled away from public preaching, many people thought he would come back after some time off. But it was clear when First Lady Karen Clark Sheard, a gospel star, powerful singer, and wife of over 30 years, finally spoke out. This wasn't just a short break. This hurt my heart very much. Karen didn't hold back either. Karen looked teary-eyed in a rare Instagram live session that has since been shared on many other platforms. She was wearing a black hoodie and had no makeup or glam on. She looked like a heartbroken wife hiding her pain. Her voice shook as she talked about the rumors and quiet surrounding her husband's sudden resignation as sur of the company. The church broke this man after all the late nights, flights, and sacrifices he made for them. She stopped and tried not to cry. "You guys have no idea what it's like to see the toughest man you know wonder if he let God down when he was really let down by people." People from the church and her fans filled the comments to support her, shocked to see such raw honesty from a first lady who is usually known for being calm and collected. However, what happened next made it more clear how badly the lie had hurt the whole family. Karen then talked about how Bishop Sheard had stopped praying out loud at home, which he had done every day for decades. He had grown distant, quiet, and shut down, but not because of his beliefs, but from the group he gave everything to before. Karen told me that he didn't lose faith in God, but the people he thought were on his side have broken his heart. But it wasn't just about how the church ran things. Karen's life showed that the betrayal happened while her family was already going through a loss and health problems. It was the first time she told the world that one of Bishop Sheard's closest family members had been very sick just a few weeks before the problems started within the church. Leaders didn't back them up. Instead, they were cold, distant, and used secret tactics to take Bishop Sheard's power away. Karen even made it sound like some board members wanted to change the age balance, implying that Bishop Sheard, who was a legacy figure, was too stuck in the past. She said they smiled at us and talked about us behind our backs. My husband still served like nothing was wrong. That's strong. But it was her last words that made everyone in the church chill. It wasn't just disrespect, it was mental harm. What Karen said had an instant effect. Social media went crazy. Gospel artists, pastors, and even famous people from other fields shared the video again to show support for Bishop Sheard and to call out the COGIC board's lack of reaction. There were a lot of popular Twitter threads with hashtags like Spark his stand with Sheard and COGIC accountability, asking church leaders to be open and honest. However, COGIC National Board has not yet made an official comment. There has been no denial, clarification, or silence. It started to look like they were involved, but the story doesn't end there. Many people thought that the Church of God in Christ would quickly and clearly say something about Bishop J. Drew Sheard's emotional resignation. They thought that there might be an honor, an explanation, or even just a moment of silence to honor his decades of leadership. There was nothing there instead. A lot of people in the COGIC community were upset by that silence. They had trusted Bishop Sheard for years as a sign of both spiritual power and organizational stability. It wasn't just rumors that spread in the days and weeks after his quiet exit. There was an uprising. People in the church in cities like Detroit, Dallas, Memphis, and Milwaukee started sharing videos, TikToks, Facebook Lives, and passionate open letters asking for answers. One pastor from Ohio became famous after he gave a sermon called When the Shepherd is Wounded, which made clear references to Sheard's situation. He asked the scary question, what happens to the flock when the leaders let the shepherd bleed out in silence, in his message? Members of COGIC started to tag board members, email district superintendents, and start online petitions. One Change.org effort called Restore and Respect Bishop Sheard got over 30,000 signatures in less than a week. What made things worse? Reports say that some board members were stopping people who asked why there was so much silence, which made people think that something darker was being kept secret. At the same time, churches in the area started holding vigils, prayer calls, and fasts to support Bishop Sheard. During the speeches, some church mothers cried because they talked about how they had seen him grow from a young preacher to a strong bishop, and now they were seeing him walk away hurt. COGIC youth groups, especially those in cities, also spoke out, not only in support of Sheard, but also against the politics at the official level that let this happen. Younger members made explanation videos on TikTok that broke down what they saw as a power grab going on behind the scenes. They said the situation showed bigger problems with the way the church is run. A teenage girl from Georgia got up during her church's testimony service and said, "Bishop Sheard is the reason I came back to church." It was one of the most moving videos ever shared. Now you let him leave hurt? No one should have done that. It wasn't just outbursts. They were a spiritual wake-up call and a cry for help. For a lot of people, this was the moment when the politics behind the church became clear and they wouldn't stand for it. But it may have been the worst blow when several respectable bishops and superintendents began to speak out against Bishop Sheard without their names being attached. The message was clear, but no names were used. It wasn't fair what happened to Bishop Sheard. He didn't leave because he failed. He left because he failed. All of a sudden, the subject changed. It wasn't just about one man leaving. It was about the holes in the background of one of the world's biggest Pentecostal groups. The people watched, waited, and asked for more. The community kept yelling, but Bishop Sheard didn't say a word until a secret message came out that gave everyone chills. A private voice recording that got out online changed everything about Bishop J. Drew Sheard's leaving COGIC. It seemed like the trouble couldn't get any worse. That wasn't a real news release. It was not a post on social media. It was real, it was true, but it was never meant to be made public. Reports say that Bishop Sheard first sent the voice memo to a small group of trusted regional pastors, men who he had taught and served with for decades. This message was meant to be secret. It was his last word of support before he left the chaos. But one of those pastors secretly shared it with a COGIC Facebook group, either because they were worried or because they believed it was right. The tape quickly spread through WhatsApp groups, YouTube channels, and Twitter threads. And what Bishop Sheard said made a lot of people cry. In the message, his voice sounded tired and quiet. The stern voice that COGIC members were used to hearing at convocation was no longer there. Instead, There was a broken man who was trying to hold on to his faith while letting go of everything else. Thank you to all the people who still love me and believe in the God inside me. I never thought I'd be the one writing the last page before I meant to, but I'm tired of serving, of being alone when I needed to be strong. He then told the truth about the treason, but he didn't name anyone. This church is where I gave my life. I missed birthdays, holidays, and even my own healing because I was sure this was my calling, and my brothers didn't stand up for me when I needed them to. His voice broke at one point. I saw people I believed in act like they didn't see me break. That hurt the most. Not the plans, but the lack of noise. But then, as if going back to his pastoral heart, Bishop Sheard closed the message with a prayer of blessing. Not angry, but hurt and lucky. I'll carry that cross if leaving this church brings peace. But don't forget this, I left with love after serving with love. That last line, I leave with love, became a trending hashtag overnight. It became popular on gospel sites like Instagram stories, merch mock-ups and honors from both other leaders and fans of the song, I Leave with Love. Later, 2 pastors who had gotten the memo in person confirmed that it was real. Even though there was a lot of support from the people and media attention, the COGIC General Board said nothing at all. There was no response to the leak, and the nature of it was not acknowledged, not even a try to fix the problem. Many people saw this as proof of what they had already thought, that Bishop Sheard had been betrayed, that the quiet was planned, and that his pain had been hidden to protect power over people. But the church can't go any further without the truth. And there is noise at the bottom level that is replacing the quiet at the top. This noise won't go away. Still, even with all the chaos, one question stands out more than ever. What's going to happen? This is true not only for Bishop Sheard, but also for COGIC. Bishop J. So Drew and Sheard walked away in silence, and the leadership of the Church of God in Christ refused to face the betrayal head-on. Now, the whole church is at a painful crossroads. We're no longer just talking about a bishop's leaving his job. We are facing a moral reckoning. It was Bishop Sheard, a leader who valued custom, who kept COGIC's modern growth stable for many years. He was a man who stood between chaos and order with quiet strength. He was the thing that held the denomination together when things were going badly, like when there were gaps in leadership between generations, power struggles within the denomination, national tragedies, and theological arguments. The cracks are starting to show now that the glue is gone. Who is gone? Members of the church in every area are calling for more openness. Leaders in the area are being asked to talk to their groups about what happened in an honest way. Some people won't keep quiet any longer, even if it means putting their own jobs at risk. The way COGIC youth groups work is changing. A lot of people are giving up blind support and taking real responsibility. They have some big questions. Who will be an honest leader? Who will look after the things that the people who died for this church left behind? If another leader falls, will we not pick them back up? One thing is clear though, despite all the pain, Bishop Sheard's influence will not go away when he leaves his job. Close friends and family of him say that even though he took a break from work, he's not leaving the church completely. Reports say he's thinking about starting his own mentoring program. This would train young pastors without the politics and red tape of the church, focusing only on biblical truth and real leadership. He's also been spending more time with his wife Karen, and their family. Sources say he's finally getting better. A family friend said, he gave everything. His new job is to learn how to receive again. A book or even a video is being talked about, but the most important thing is that Bishop Sheard is said to be writing a public letter. A private last message to the people of COGIC, not to get back at them or to show them up, but to heal them. He still loves the church, the people, the calling, and the faith, even though he was lied to.